So, at any rate, I passed out a little agenda, which I actually don't have a copy of. So maybe I should. Anybody got an
There's
extra
some
one?
right here, Lynn.
Oh, extra?
I'll share.
Sure, I got a whole bunch.
There's extra ones right
I got it. We're good. Okay. This look familiar? Yes? Please interact with me today, please. Okay. All right. We've got our food. We're settled in. First thing I want to look at is the calendar. Does everybody realize there's a pegboard on the calendar?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to the calendar down at the very bottom. Pardon me?
So I can't hear anything.
I can hear me pretty good. Hello?
Great.
You guys hear me in the back?
The mic's off.
It's off? Oh, it's off.
Battery might
I
be
feel
dead.
like I'm echoing. Red light?
Now it's good.
Hello? Okay, we'll try it. Maybe the battery's dying. Okay, this is your Goldmine counter. We'll talk about configuration here in a little bit. If you look at the very bottom, there's a bunch of tabs down here at the bottom. You go to the bottom right tab, there's a pegboard. Anybody ever seen this before? Yeah. Raise your hand if you've never seen it. See, you've already learned something. Lisa's worked here for how many years? Didn't know there was pegboards. Okay. On the pegboard, these are the users that are currently active in Goldmine, I think. If you're in this room and your name is not on here, the only reason your name would not be on here is if you're in escrow. Escrow uses Goldmine, but you guys use a different database, so you would not be listed in this, which is kind of not ideal. I'd love you guys to share our Goldmine, but you don't want us in your Goldmine. You get too much confidential stuff in there as it relates to the escrow. So, here's the pegboard. We're going to take a quick look at the pegboard. Number one, I want to see who's here. Can you guys see this okay? Yeah. Okay, well, let's do a little roll call. Angie, are you in the house?
Right here.
There's Angie. She's at the top, and Angie's logged in. So you must have Wi-Fi, or you forgot to log in when you left or log out. You got a computer. Okay. Angie's logged in. Angie logged in at 12:20. Angie logged in 1 minute ago. Right?
Yes.
1 minute ago today. Anna is here. Anna logged in 2 minutes ago. Annette. There's Annette. Annette is logged off. She left the office at 10:50 a.m. Apparently that's when you logged off. Aubrey, you here?
Yeah.
Bev?
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
Call center? Someone here's from call center. Raise your hand for call center. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, whoever was monitoring call center. And by the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Goldmine, but we're also going to, you guys are hopefully going to get a better understanding of how we function as a company. So for you sales managers in the room, there is a user called call center. Call center is monitored by who? Who in this room monitors call center? Lisa, Annette, Sarah, Tiffany. So we've got at least 4 people in here that monitor the call center contact, which monitors the email. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. Cindy is here. Now, I have a problem with Cindy. And my problem is Cindy hasn't logged into Goldmine since February 22nd, 2013. Which means Cindy does not work for me. Because it's impossible to work for me and not log into Goldmine every day. But that's okay because Cindy's new and she doesn't understand. She's never been trained, but trained just enough to get in once. But the statement I just made is absolutely true. You cannot work at this company and not use Goldmine. You just can't. Ask my mom. Okay? And that's only half a joke. So, at any rate, we've got Cindy, we've got Daniel, who should not be on here. I don't know why Daniel's on here. By the way, I think you guys can do this yourself. If you're on your pegboard and you right click, and you click, which by the way, I don't have a bunch of notes in here. If you guys want to know how to do something, write your own note, go up to help, click on Goldmine Help, type in what you want, and it'll give you the entire Goldmine manual on how to do whatever you want. Okay? I'm not going to print out a manual. I'm not going to give you step-by-step instructions. It's very simple. You know, if you want to learn how to edit your calendar or do this, the entire manual is online. You can print it out anytime you want. You can read it anytime you want. So hopefully you'll discover some things that are important. But at any rate, Daniel should not be on here because Daniel hasn't worked for the company for 2 years. This is kind of weird because I took Daniel off before and he seems to have shown back up. But if I want to take him off, I go to users, I find him here, I double click them, it removes them, I click OK. Daniel is now off of my Goldmine calendar. Same thing with Drake. I took him off. I don't know why these guys keep popping back. Might have been Anna and I might have been logged in at the same time, so that could be why. Okay, so anyway, so we got Drake. Dwayne, is Dwayne still accessing Goldmine?
He uses his own.
He uses his own?
He has a separate Goldmine installation, separate database.
Who? Yeah, but he wouldn't show up here then, because this is my database. Dwayne Beesner. No, Beesner.
Wayne should not have Goldmine.
When is the last time he should not have had Goldmine access? More than a week ago? Okay. Anna, you taking notes? Take. Are you good?
Yeah.
We need to take Dwayne out of Goldmine. Beesner. Okay. Okay, same thing with Erica. Janet's here. Is Jay here? I didn't see Jay. Jerry, I saw Jerry somewhere. Great, there, Jerry. Julie's not here. I'm here. Lily?
Here.
They're here. Lily's here. Lisa?
Here.
Melissa's holding down the fort. Hopefully, if we got any phone. By the way, this is a pretty important meeting, guys. We, for the most part, have shut down our offices to have you folks here. So if I didn't think this was important, believe me, the last thing in the world I want to do is shut us down for half a day at any time of the month and shut us down. But assuming our phones are working good, Melissa is the lucky one who got to stay home and didn't have to show up here today. Or she's the unlucky one who gets to answer everybody's calls today. So she's having fun. So, anyway, Melissa's back. Melissa also is in the call center rotation. Mike, he's another story. I know I see Norm over there. We've got Paul, Rebecca, and look at all these people logged in. So apparently the Wi-Fi is working. And we've got Sandy's here, Sarah's here, Stacy's here, another Stacy's here, Susanna should be off, Tiffany's here, and Vicky's here, I think.
And I don't exist.
You're not on there. Is there anybody that should be on this list that's not?
Yep. me.
Yes.
It only shows 20 at a time.
No, they'll show up. Ingrid's here. And Sheila's here. There we go. Okay, so now we should have Ingrid. And we should have... Where'd she go? There's Sheila. Sheila's down at the bottom. Okay, so getting back to the... Oh, by the way, I wanted to introduce... I asked Brad, just to kind of swing on by. Who has not met Brad yet? Coldbaker Mortgage? A couple of you? Maybe Brad was at the Claremont office earlier, correct? Claremont office. He's not a Goldmine user. God forbid the poor guy had to be tortured for the next 4.5 hours to sit down and do this. But he was in the neighborhood, so I thought I at least would say, hey, come on by. Let me introduce you. If you haven't met Brad yet, he's on Goldbaker Mortgage, part of our mortgage team, our mortgage family, and we're trying to get him integrated into the team as best we can. So I at least wanted to come over and introduce Brad. I'm not giving him any time because we don't have any time. But anyway, Brad, Goldbaker Mortgage. So, okay, so here's our pegboard. One thing that most of you do not do is when you log off, and this is okay, but when you log off, you don't log off properly. It almost sounds like, well, if I'm not logging off properly, why is that okay? Logging off properly to Goldmine is actually what Erica did when Erica, on her last day, and I don't know if she did that as a joke or whether she did that seriously, but Erica logged off on 5/40 at the 15th of April, and she said, I'm on the road. Okay? You guys can do that when you log off. It would probably be helpful if we all used the pegboard. If we're not using the pegboard, it will be meaningless. But how you do that, when you guys log off, what do you just mostly just exit or hit the little red X on the top and whatever? Yeah. Honestly, that's what I do. That's okay. Okay? But if you did want to kind of log off, log away, it'll come up with this dialog box. And Erica clicked the little box that says I'm on the road and I'm out. Okay? I don't know that I'm going to create a whole bunch of new rules today. but maybe at some point we might create a rule that says, where am I at? Like Aubrey would be a good example. I get confused with Aubrey because Aubrey has this funky schedule. She comes and goes at different times, and maybe they're always the same, but I get confused as to when it is. So if Aubrey wanted to log off, she could say, I'm off, and I'm back tomorrow at 11, or whatever it happened to be. That way, if we did that, if Aubrey did that, you cancel this so I don't log off. If I was wondering where Aubrey was tomorrow morning, I could go to the pegboard real quick. I could scroll up to her name, and it would say, she'll be back today at 11. I'm at school or in a class or whatever it happens to be. Again, we're not using that. But putting that part aside, yes?
When you log back in, does it automatically take that note off?
Correct. When you log back in, well, let me tell you what I do use, and I use it a lot. By the way, Goldmine tracks everything we do, and I don't mean that to sound like Big Brother and looking over your shoulder. But I know when you log in, I know when you log out, which by the way, so does everybody else. Okay? If you want to know, for example, hey, is Bev still in the office? I just called and I got voicemail. Well, you could go over here, you could find Beverly Davis, and it says, no, Bev logged out at 11:11. Now, it doesn't necessarily tell you whether Bev's coming back later that day, but Bev normally leaves the office between 2:30 and 3-ish every day. So from my perspective, if I called Bev at 2:30 and I got voicemail, and then I went to the pegboard and I saw that she logged out at 2:28, pretty good indication for me that I'm not going to get a hold of Bev today. Okay? Now, if I saw that Bev logged out at 12:15, that might cause me a little bit of a question. Is she at lunch? Is she taking a long lunch? Did she leave early that day? Is she coming back? Is she not coming back? Especially if, let's pretend Bev doesn't normally leave at 2:30. Bev works every day till 5. Well, if I see that, and again, this would be a good example, which, by the way, if you have the type of job which most of you do, most of you are planted at your desk pretty much throughout the day, right? From the time you get into the time, with lunches and all the rest of that sort of stuff, but you're not out and about. If you're in the office, you need to be logged into Goldmine, even if you're not doing Goldmine. I want you logged into Goldmine. If you know there's going to be a sales meeting for a couple hours, I don't care. You stay logged into Goldmine. And it'll give me one of these. If you go down, Paul, don't touch your computer. Please.
Thanks.
What's that?
Later.
Okay, but be good. Okay, now, if you're on the counter, you'll see these little blue bars. This basically will tell me that there's been inactivity for that period of time. So Melissa is logged in, but she hasn't touched her keyboard in 5 minutes. Paul's logged in, but he hasn't done anything for 10 minutes, and Stacy's logged in, but it doesn't look like she's done anything for 10 or 15 minutes. If you do something in Goldmine, that little bar will go away. Okay? So if you're in a meeting, or if you're unavailable, and by the way, this keeps going. If I got a big solid blue bar all the way across your name, that tells me you haven't done anything in Goldmine for 4 hours plus. That could be fine, or that could raise a question. Why haven't you done anything in Goldmine? What is it, Black Friday? Are we surfing the net? What are we doing? Why is there no activity in Goldmine for that? So, but for most of you, it looks kind of like how it looks, and having 5 minutes of an activity or even 2 hours of an activity, for the most part, is not that big of a deal. Take Annette, for example. Annette's in Goldmine, logged in doing her thing, but she's got Buildium up. She could spend 4 hours in Buildium, maybe, with never going back into Goldmine. That would not be unusual. That wouldn't be a big deal. But at any rate, you can kind of see who's doing what and why. And again, by the way, you all have everything I'm showing you today, but I think with very, very few exceptions, you guys can do yourself. This is not like super administration rules, okay? It basically is, it's available. Goldmine is a postcard. It's an open book, all right? Anyway, another thing you can do in here real quick is you can go to the users, oops, actually not here. Actually, I take that back. We'll get to that in a little bit. So anyway, so here's our pegboard. Take a look at it. It might be a little helpful if you're trying to figure out where a coworker is. I do this a lot in the morning. If I'm looking for somebody in the morning and I think they're supposed to be in the office and they're not, I'll log in, I'll take a look at the pegboard. Annette, where are you? How come you're not here? Frankly, if you work call center, any of the call centers, and you start at 8 or 9 or 9:30, I look at this all the time. Because I want to know, did you log in? Did you log in at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning to open the front desk? Or did you log in at 11? Oh, wait a minute, nobody told me that that was the time clock. It's not the time clock. I just want to see. Same thing with when somebody's leaving. If you are logging out of Goldmine 2 hours before your workday ends, you're probably going to get my attention in a negative way. Because Goldmine should probably be the first thing you do when you get into the office and the last thing you do when you leave. That doesn't mean you have to wait till the 2 minutes before you're going home to log out. I'm not saying that. But just generally, that's what the pegboard is there for. So, anybody got any questions on the pegboard? Okay. None? Okay. The next thing I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit. When you guys log into Goldmine, does it look something like this or does it look entirely different? Whose screen looks entirely different than this? A couple of you? Okay. You can do a lot of customization with your screen. Okay. I want to give you some tips. Okay. For the most part, there's 3 things that you guys should be doing with Goldmine. All right? And they all revolve around the 3 tabs that are up there. You've got a contact, you've got email, and you've got a calendar. Okay? So when you log in, who is not? And by the way, there's no wrong answer. So, oh, geez, he's setting a trap for me. He's going to embarrass me. Let's just be honest. Let's have a good dialogue. Who is not have a screen that basically has those 3 tabs up on a regular basis? Because if you don't, we need to fix it. It's an easier way to do that. You should basically be looking at well, first of all, you have to have the contact. You cannot close the contact tab. You're always going to have at least one of these tabs open. I can close my calendar tab. I can close my email tab. No. I can't close this. It won't let me close the contact. You have to, if you don't have the contact tab open in Goldmine, you might as well not even have Goldmine open. So you have to have at least one tab open. I would suggest that you should also have, by the way, if you don't have your email tab open, your email does not pull. You guys understand that?
Yes.
So if you've been logged in all day and you've never opened your email tab, number 1, it's not open, so you don't even know if you have an email. But number 2, it's not pulling. It's just, just sitting there waiting for you to come down here. And again, I'm going to be there. There's 15 different ways to do the same thing in Goldmine. Down here, my habit is I come down here and I either click on my email here or I have one of those fast buttons down here. But you should have your email open. And I would think you should also have your calendar open. So if you're not currently using Goldmine and having those 3 tabs open, that's what I want you to start doing. So if I walk by your desk and I see Goldmine, I want to see this. Now, it doesn't have to be in this order. You can have the calendar open in the middle and the email on the left, and frankly, you could have 10 different tabs open. But I want to see these 3. Who uses the activities tab? Anybody? A couple, 3 of you? If you like to use the activities tab, rock on. Perfect. I've got no problem with that. So if you're a 4-tabber and you want to have the activities tab open, perfectly cool with me. I know one of my past associates hated using the calendar, loved using the activities. Again, I have no problem with that. Okay? The activities tab and the calendar tab kind of go hand in hand. Anybody else use the activity list? That's the only one? Bev and I, we're the only 2. Wow. Well, we're going to show you some things on the activity tab, which you may after today say, wow, I think I might want to use the activity tab. It might make it a little bit easier. Okay, a couple other things on the configure. Now, again, I'm using this on my laptop. The bigger the screen, the more user-friendly Goldmine is. Okay, so if you have yourself a big monitor at the office, or I saw Ingrid the other day is working on like a little 6-inch monitor. Goldmine becomes much less user-friendly the smaller your monitor is. It's harder to see things, it's harder to expand things. I'm so used to using this. Having said that, I'm constantly making adjustments when I'm working on my laptop. Most of us in the office are working on a screen that's a suitable size that once you set your adjustments, you're never going to have to change them. But if you didn't know, you can make this smaller, you can make this bigger. Having said that, when you make this tab smaller and bigger, it affects that for all of them. So if you want to have a big window over here when you have the contact open, that's fine. But then when you click on your calendar, now you've got this calendar view, which I personally don't like. So if you like that calendar view with 4 months of calendar open, then you're going to have to live with this big fat space over here when you got your contact, which is a problem because now I can't see the phone numbers as well as I wanted to before. So now I want to see my phone numbers a little bit better. So I take this and I drag this over. I try to drag this over, which by the way, you just put your mouse on the line, you drag it over, nothing magical. Now I get to see more information on my phone numbers. Maybe I get to see a little bit more information on what's in the pending and history tab. But now when I go back to my calendar, now I only get to see 2 months of my calendar view. So you're going to have to make some trade-offs. What's important? Or you do what I do. You just move it around all the time. Depending upon what I'm doing, I may want to see more. I'm constantly sliding it back and forth. But once you guys set it, it should be set and it should never change. Pretty much if that's how you like it, that's how you like it, and you can do that. You can also shift this bar. Again, I know this is really basic, but you can drag this over here, you can make this wider, you can make this skinnier. Real quickly on the calendar, we're going to talk more about the calendar here in a minute. Is everybody's calendar, look, I'd be shocked if everybody's hand goes up. Is everybody's calendar have the task, the code, and the reference in this order, or is it in different orders? And yours is in different orders? Okay, you can change that. This is how I like it. Some of you, if you've never updated Goldmine, some of you might have this PTY, which is priority. You might have a priority tab over here. You may have PTY up here with a blank space. We never use that. So if you've got that over there in a blank space, it's kind of a waste of space. You may have this regarding tab over here as well. If you do that, we never use that. So if your calendar looks like this, what we use is this, the reference. So you're like, whose calendar looks like this? Nobody's? You've all fixed it? I doubt it. So at any rate, this is easy enough to fix. What you should have on your calendar to make it more Goldmine friendly is it should have the task, the code, and the reference. And for most of you, with the exception of maybe Stacy and Janet or Drew, I don't even know if you guys pay any attention to these codes. Most of you, these codes are going to be pretty irrelevant. You're not going to pay much attention to the codes. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But anyway, you can play around with the view. The contact view, there was somebody who worked in Goldmine for 2 years and didn't realize that there's more information underneath here. Does everybody's contact look like this? Pretty much? Does everybody stop at VIP instructions? No. Okay, well, depending upon what you want to see, there's more stuff under here, guys. There's DRE license numbers and Crest ID numbers and people's birthday and that sort of stuff. Depending upon who you are, you might want to see that information. It might be important to you for everybody to see that information. Again, depending upon who you are, that may not be important to you. So you can drag that up there and you can hide it. You don't have to see that. It's just taking up space. So you can play around with a lot of that stuff. You can also change the colors. I'm not even, who has different colors in their Goldmine? A few of you guys have, I know Tiffany, you're like what, pink and chartreuse. And if you want, Rebecca. Okay, actually, I kind of like that when I see somebody. I don't even know how to do it, but you can. The general template for Goldmine is the blue. To be honest with you, I like it when I go by Tiffany's monitor and I see her funky colors, because it frankly tells me that she's in the program, she's looking around at stuff, and she's making it the way she wants to make it. Okay? Who knew that you could even change the colors? Who did not know that you could change the colors? So you guys aren't snooping around enough. You need to get in there and snoop around a little bit more. Okay? Okay. So bottom line is this is the takeaway with the way you need to set your screen up in a way that is functional, efficient, and usable for what you're doing. Okay? For example, who would freak out if all of a sudden the organizational tree went away? Wait a minute. Who even knows what an organizational tree is?
I have freaked out.
Okay, if you use the organizational tree on a regular basis,
Right click in the tree.
It's a relationship tree.
it's a relationship. Is that tab gone?
You have the tree up
Well, I know I have it up there.
Yeah, we need a tree. It's already in the tree, so.
It's already there.
there. Yeah, that's it.
Maybe like drag it or something like that. I don't know.
We're going to find it.
Right click inside the tree.
I click in here.
And then
Ah.
click.
Who freaks out when their tree goes away?
Me.
If you, I would think half of you in this room should freak out if your tree went away. Okay? You're like, what is he talking about?
I bet half the people in here don't even know what a tree is.
I understand, but the other half do. But we're going to. But the tree is this little. But that's an important point. That's a great point that Drew just made. If you're not one of the people that use the relationship tree or the organizational tree, you probably would prefer this view, because the other view is just taking up space on your screen and you don't need it. If you are one of those people that need to use the organizational tree, you want this. You couldn't live without it. This is something that we talked about in escrow a couple of days ago. I don't remember who was excited about it, but if you're from the escrow team, right now you don't know anything about this. This is kind of unique to the REO team and the property management team. And I'm telling you, we'll talk later about how to set these up so that you can very easily manage an escrow as far as the contact people. So again, we're going to get into that a little bit more. So at any rate, you can customize the view of your interface with Goldmine to pretty much look any way you want it, within reason. Okay? Is everybody pretty comfortable with the way there's is? And again, most of you have been here for a while. Let me ask, where'd Ingrid go? Ingrid lives? Oh, geez, man. All right, I was going to give her a shout out here because Ingrid's pretty much brand new.
Relationship tree right now.
Okay, so at any rate, basically you can play with your screen a lot. One thing that you will notice is if you are logging into Goldmine under terminal server mode, and then you are subsequently logging in directly on your desktop, who does that on occasion? They have Goldmine on their desktop, and then you have a little differences there, so you just need to be prepared for that. Things will look different. If you were just working on it at your desktop, and then you go home and you work from home a little bit, the settings don't always stick. Matter of fact, they don't never stick. Okay, but they will stay the way they were the last time you were in terminal server. So once you get them set, you should be pretty good. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is what do we start? We'll start with the contacts. Okay, pretty basic stuff. We're going to start with easy stuff first. All right. This is a contact. I'm a bad example, and let me tell you why I'm a bad example as a contact. And I don't really know a much better way to do it, but for many of you, there is a better way to do it. The reason I'm a bad example as a contact is I want to spend some time looking at my pending tab. If you set yourself, who sets themselves appointments? I'm going to be in the office every Tuesday for a sales meeting from 9 to 10. Who does that? Raise your hand. All right, a few of you do that. Okay, if you set that meeting for yourself and you do it for the year, what ends up happening is you end up, for lack of a better word, you end up clogging. As a matter of fact, I don't know who did this. I'll tell you it wasn't me. It must have been Anna, because I don't do this. Anna, you did this. Somebody set my Woodland Villas Association meetings out for 2 years or 3 years. 5 years? Okay. Don't do that. Okay? I'm not worried about creating a scheduling conflict for April 28th, 2016. I'm not worried about that, okay? Because if you set an action out, Erica was good at this. Erica set an action out for infinity. I'm going to do this every day at 3 o'clock. I'm going to start now and I'm going to finish in 2025. Well, what you just did is you created an action for 20 years on your contact. Don't do that. What I suggest you do is you do it for the calendar year. You know, you sit down in January, say my sales meeting is every Tuesday from 9 to 10 o'clock, and I'm going to start this Tuesday, and I'm going to go all the way through till December 31st, 2013. That still clogs your calendar, but it doesn't clog it like mine is. Mine is clogged stupid. Okay? So, who uses recurring actions? Wow. Okay, well then everybody who didn't raise their hand, it's a good thing you're here. Because everybody in this room, everybody should have said, yep, I use recurring actions. Who has a regularly scheduled meeting once a day, once a week, once a month with somebody? Everybody in this room does. Now they may move around a little bit, but for escrow may be saying, wait a minute, why maybe I don't. Let me Walter, you gave me a puzzled look.
No,
So
but are you talking about the calendar?
talking about the
I
calendar.
use the calendar.
Well, let's talk about the actions for a second.
Okay.
Let's pretend, again, this is a little more specific than maybe what we need to get to. But let's pretend I'm Walter, and I'm Summer, and I'm Bernie, and I'm Christine. Okay? Now, I think it's important for you guys to be at every single sales meeting in your office. Everyone. Okay? Now, the busier you get, you tend to miss the sales meetings. You know, maybe you're in the building, but you're not present in the meeting. And that's probably okay on occasion. Okay, but I'd like to see you at those sales meetings. So we'll talk about how to schedule this recurring action in a little bit. But on your calendar should be a recurring action that says, I am at the sales agent's sales meetings on this day, every Thursday, for the rest of the year. If you're a sales manager, who has missed a sales manager's meeting? All of you pretty much have. Because Anna has to send you guys emails and call you all the time because it's not on your Goldmine calendar. Drives me mad. We have a meeting. We meet. Who clapped? I thought you were giving me love. Walter's just shaking the cookies out. Okay? We have a meeting the last Tuesday of every month. Every month. Okay? People miss this meeting all the time. I don't get it. This is one of the reasons. Why are we having this? I don't understand. We understand Goldmine. No, we don't. Because this meeting is scheduled every month at the same time, at the same day, and people don't show up. Which means they're not using Goldmine. Which means you can't work for me. It's literally that simple. If you're not using the system, you cannot work with me, with the team, because it just doesn't work. It's a complete failure. Okay, so let's go back to the contact. I'm going to pick a different contact. Let's grab Janet's probably. Let's see who Roxanne. Okay, Roxanne's probably a little bit easier contact to deal with. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Roxanne works at Lucero. This contact is missing a lot of information. Not ideal, but it's okay. It would be better if we had her source and her address and all sorts of other stuff. But this is kind of a bare bones minimum contact. This is what I'd like. Which, by the way, I haven't pre-planned any of this, so we're going to click on some random stuff. And again, I'm not setting anybody up to embarrass you. So if you happen to fall into one of my paths, don't freak out. So Roxanne has a company, first name, last name Gill. I know this is really elementary, but I'm going to show it anyway. How does the word Gill get in the last name? How does it get there? When you type it in, it automatically shows up. When you type in Roxanne Gill, the word Gill automatically pops up. If I change this to Smith Gill, it says Gill. What is her last name? Well, let's say it's supposed to be Smith Gill, okay? Well, it'll say Gil. So we do this all the time. We have people with hyphenated names, this, that, and the other thing. We don't pay any attention when we put them into the system. The word last will basically pull off of the last word in the contact deal. So you need to be careful when you do that. This is a big problem. We have a lot of people in the system, husbands and wives with maybe different last names, or maybe we have landlords in our property management or tenants where it's John Smith and Nancy Jones, right? Well, what does it say in the last name? What does it say? It says Jones. That's a problem for me, because if I'm looking for Smith, I'll never find it. I'll never find it. So if you're setting these people up, and again, that's a difficult one. What do you want me to put in there, Lance? Smith and Jones? I don't know that I have a great answer for that. Okay? You know, who's the primary? Well, if the primary is John Smith, then I want it to say Smith. Or maybe I want it to say Smith and Jones. But you just got to be careful what flows in there. The dear field is blank. You have to type in the dear field. Most of you don't do that when you set up a contact. That creates heartburn later on. Because if you, I bet it won't take very long. I'm just going to go down this list. It didn't take very long. Okay. Now again, we're talking about embarrassing people. Let me embarrass myself. So for those of you that feel that you're going to be humiliated, if you go to your summary tab, the summary tab tells me who created Alberto. Okay, so I did this, so I'm breaking my own rules, so don't feel bad when I call you out later. I created Alberto on January 7th, 2013. I broke my own rule, because when I created Alberto, I wanted to say, Dear Alberto over there, because I want to send Alberto an email later on, and I want it to be personalized. I want it to have a Dear Alberto in there, and if I don't do that, what's it going to say? It's going to say, Dear space, comma. Oh, really nice talking to you the other day. So who's gotten an email like that? Nobody's ever gotten a spammed email or didn't have your name was missing in the line? Anybody get a letter in the mail where, you know, it said, Dear Mrs. Aubrey? You're like, Mrs. Aubrey, they obviously don't know what my last name is. Nobody? I'm the only one? Are we awake? Do we need to do some exercises and some jumping jacks?
Yeah.
All right, well, I get that all the time, and it sucks, because it tells me that whoever's sending me that email or that letter hasn't taken the time to at least even know who the hell I am, and I don't want to do business with them as much as I did before. Or I just get the exact opposite email that says, Dear Lance, yada, 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 and maybe just for a minute I might think that they really care about who I am, and they actually took the time to specifically send that email to me, even though I probably know in the back of my head they sent that same email to 7,000 other people. Right? So in order for us to be able to attempt to personalize that a little bit, it needs to say, Dear Alberto. Or if you know that Alberto is a very formal person, then you need to put in Dear Mr. Nyon, because that's how you know he likes to be addressed. We've got a new client, Gina something or other. She's a doctor. Okay? Do doctors like to be called doctor last name?
Yes.
They do, but you know, I personally hate that. If I know her name's Gina, I'm calling her Gina. Okay? I'm not going to call her Dr. Simone or whatever, because I don't know, it makes me feel like she's like something special and I'm just some little person. I refuse to call her doctor. So on my letter, I'm going to say, Dear Gina. Now I could potentially destroy that relationship, because I'm a doctor, I earned it, I want to be called Dr. Simone. So we need to keep that into consideration. And forget about what I just said. If we know we have a client that likes to be called Dr. Martin, then you're going to put in Dear Dr. Martin. You're not going to just tease them and call him Dear Lance. Okay? Call them whatever their title happens to be.
Abbreviated or spelled out?
Well, when it's, great question. You're a little ahead of me, but most people like DR period is fairly acceptable. I don't see a lot of DOCTOR Smith. So you can abbreviate it there. I probably am not going to want you to abbreviate it in many other places. Okay? On the source code, which by the way, if you're using this, I probably want you to stop. There's a lot of people, we don't really use department or title very much. Okay? If I know for sure that Alberto is in the sales department, I guess I could put sales department. If I know his title is president, I guess I could put president. Who's putting that stuff in there? Good. Stop. Okay? But many of you are putting in other things. Under department, you're putting in son owns Main Street, or cousin of Mary, or Lance's friend, or this is a good one, wife died last year. So now I'm sending this guy a Christmas card, and it says, Alberto Nyon, wife died last year, 123 Main Street, Riverside, California, 92553.
Is that happening?
Yes. Not the wife died last year, but other stuff. Okay? You got it? What's that term? The GIGO, garbage in, garbage out? We can't put garbage in here because we have 63,000 contacts in this database with approximately 35 valid email addresses. On occasion, we'll send out 35,000 emails. If the information is wrong, half of those emails bounce back undeliverable, or they get delivered in a fashion that's unacceptable. They get delivered to them and it says something it shouldn't. If we send Christmas cards, I've kind of gotten away from Christmas cards. We haven't sent actual physical Christmas cards out in 2 years, but the ones we sent out 2 years ago, probably half of them had to be redone because the addresses were screwed up. Which kind of gets to Drew's other point. Actually, I'm going to get to Drew's other point in a minute. Let's just go down the road here. By the way, you guys realize how this works. You just kind of tab through, go from company. Oops, that's another thing. We got to set up our thing. You're supposed to go to company, to contact, to last, to title, to dear. And then what happens when you get to source?
Single most frustrating thing ever.
Single most frustrating thing ever. Great comment. By the way, Drew's not the only one allowed to be an ass today.
I'm not trying to.
Okay, I'm just kidding. Let me rephrase that. Drew's not the only one who's allowed to be honest and real today. Everybody, please give me a little bit of feedback and honesty and reality. What is this? The single most frustrating thing ever. Because for many of you, you don't know what to do with this. And you cannot get away from this. You have to do what? Choose something. Okay? So depending upon what this person is, there may not be an appropriate selection. I've gone through it 16 times. I just don't know what this person is. Okay? If you don't know what they are, find something that's close. If you think it's important and we need to create a new category, then send me an email. Professional, what the hell does that mean? Well, it means something to me. All right? Which, by the way, and I've got some giggles, that wasn't meant to be funny. This is my database. Okay? People come and go through this company all the time. That means something to me. I can pull up the professional. It may mean nothing to you. When you put in, let's suppose that this guy is a PM owner or something like that, or property management, which he's not. Okay? You guys clicking property management and putting in there may mean absolutely nothing. I don't know what that means. Well, does this guy have anything to do with property management? Yeah. Now I put property management tab on. That means something to me. I can create a group, I can create a filter, we can do something with that. So, at any rate, if you're struggling, and I totally understand what Drew's talking about, it is frustrating because for most of you, we have never had this discussion in depth. There's not the appropriate source as to, exactly how did this get to us. So you get frustrated, you get stuck, so you force something in there. If you're running into that, you need to let me know. And frankly, we probably need to take some time, and we need to probably clean that up a little bit. We haven't done a lot of changes to that source tab in a very long time.
Okay, so when we're adding for appointments for property management,
Yep.
do you want us putting the source in there? Because I don't.
Yep, you skip right by it. Because you never click on it. If you never click on it, you don't have to put it in.
Right.
I want you to put property management.
Property management, okay. And then also, like, say going back to when you have a husband and wife and they have different last names,
Yep.
how do you want us to add that in there? I mean,
Put them in,
separately or?
whoever you think's running the show, put their name in first, and the other person. So Sally Jones and Jim Jones.
And spelled out. not-
And spell out, yeah, we don't use, there's another thing, thank you, Drew. Let me, I'm going to create a new contact. This is a great example. Which, by the way, on companies, I know a lot of you are dealing with agents and other companies. We have a lot of companies that are already in the system. Whenever you can, if you can pick from the pick list, which is the right arrow, you're always going to be better off picking from the pick list. So if I'm putting somebody in from C21 Lois Lauer Realty, well, she's already there. Already got Lois Lauer Realty in the system. Don't type in Century 21 Lois Lauer Realty, because somebody will type it in properly. Someone will abbreviate it C-21. Someone will type it C21 Lois Lauer Real Estate. Someone will spell Lois wrong. Someone will spell Lauer. You guys know where I'm going?
When you start typing it all populate.
Correct. When you start typing it, it'll auto-populate. But let's just use that as an example. If I type in C, it's going to start. Oops. See, I already screwed up. If I type in C, it's going to give me a pick list of all of the C's that are available. But if I type really fast, and I type C-21, well, it's gone. I don't get that pick list anymore. This is really important, frankly, for people like Ingrid, all of our sales managers who are working with these agents. We want to get it in properly. For example, it's a pet peeve of mine. My company name is not Pioneer Realty. I hate it when somebody sends me something that says Pioneer Realty. I don't know why. It's stupid. But we're Pioneer Real Estate. So when someone sends me something that says Pioneer Realty, all I know is that they don't know anything about my company, because they don't even know the name of it. Okay? I don't know how Century 21 agents feel about being abbreviated C21. They probably could care less. I don't know. But anyway, so when you're getting to type in your company, and again, let's just grab that Century 21 Lois Lauer. So there it is, and then let's just type in our contact. This is Jim Smith. Okay, and again, oh, by the way, I know I do this all the time. Take the time to do it right. Spelling counts. If you got a little J, it's going to be a little J forever. If it's not capital, you got to fix it. Okay, please fix it. If it's Jim and Nancy Smith, when you come up here, do not use the little ampersand symbol. Why do we not use this?
When you search it, you're not gonna-
Well, there's a couple reasons we don't want to use it. Number one, when I try to do a mail merges don't like that little symbol. Sometimes it throws things off. It creates a problem with the little ampersand. I don't know why, but it seems to do it with Goldmine. So spell it out. Jim and Sally Smith. Okay? Now when you get down to the dear, you want to type in. Again, you gotta take a moment. If I send these people a letter or an email next week, if it says Dear Jim and Sally, are they going to be receiving that warmly? Do you think that they would prefer to have it say Dear Jim and Sally Smith, their full name? Or do you think it needs to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith? You've got to make that decision, because depending upon what you decide will depend on what you type here. And you have to type this in. Okay? And whatever you decide is right. Let's leave it at, but you have to put in something. Okay? Huh?
Jim Smith?
Jim, see, there you go. I missed it. Perfect example. And that was an honest mistake. I would have blown right by that. Now I'm going to send these guys a letter, and what happens?
Jim and Smith.
It looks crappy. It doesn't look good. Okay? So again, we need to fix that. We need to get in here our Jim and Sally. Okay, it's going to force me on my source. What is it? Yeah.
I was going to ask you on the property management ones, we always put like how they heard about us, like the internet or rentals.com. Do you still want us to do that, or do you also put like property management?
No, we should, but we need to go through. We need to tighten this up. because that's actually, Aubrey's observation is actually more accurate. The source is property management. Maybe we need to change it. We need to PM Craigslist, PM walk-in, PM our website, PM list, PM sign call, PM something. So then we can take a look to see does the Craigslist ads do anything? There's different opinions on that. I think they don't do a damn thing. Okay? Other people in this room are like, are you kidding me? That's the only place we get business. Well, if we tracked our sources better, we'll know. I can sit back and say, well, what I think or what Ingrid thinks is irrelevant. Goldmine says Craigslist is the bomb. Everybody comes through Craigslist. And then we just realize where we're at. So depending upon what department you're in, escrow, property management, REO team, sales managers, we can work on those sources. Okay? The addresses, again, I'm not going to go through and type all this out. It's pretty self-explanatory, but getting to Drew's point that he's made 3 times, we don't abbreviate. If they live at 123 Main Street, we spell out street. If they live in Moreno Valley, we spell out Moreno Valley. It's not MV. Okay? State, zip code, all the rest of that sort of stuff. The VIP instructions are fairly important. I don't think that most of you guys are using this at all. But this could be a big deal for you. Paul's shaking his head. Apparently he's using it. If you have a client that you're putting in here, and there is a special instruction that if this person calls, we need to ring the bell and we need to go grab Paul and say, Paul, this person called. Paul needs to put that in there. You know? And you type in whatever the instruction is. And you got to remember, well, what do you mean if this person calls? Well, they're calling call center, they're calling front desk, they end up to me. Maybe they're a property management setup. Maybe it's Mr. Forbes, or it's Forbes and there's something going on. And you know Forbes has been working with Lisa and everything's been fine, but something blew up yesterday. Okay? And now Forbes is calling in and he gets Lisa on the phone. Again, you have to pay attention. And you may not even have Forbes up when you're talking to him, but if you have it up and it says 911, Paul needs to talk to Forbes from this day forward, then you need to stop and politely say, oh, Forbes. Paul put a note in the system, or maybe not. It might say, don't tell him that I'm the only one he can talk to, but you need to politely get him off the phone and get him over to me. Or if he calls, you need to call me next. I need to be the next person that you call after Mr. Burnett calls. So you can use that VIP instruction. Who uses this at all? Is anybody? Okay, good. Five or six of you. Excellent. So you can put that in there. I'm not going to go through. If you're a sales manager, you can plug this stuff in. Press number, DRE, when the license expires, birthdays, all the rest of that sort of stuff. Pretty straightforward stuff. Please do not use the iPhone. That does not mean you don't ask the person, do they have an iPhone, and put in yes or no. Okay? The iPhone is off limits. The iPhone is for me. What that means is if I say iPhone yes, I want that person's contact information to go to my iPhone. And I don't want everybody. I don't want 67,000 or 63,000 people to go on my iPhone. Okay? That's only for people that I want to go to my iPhone. Ingrid, you got that?
Yeah.
You're the one who's been doing that?
No.
Jack.
When I close out an REO, you have to add the buyer's names. And a lot of times it's Juan Carlos Gonzalez and Maria Sanchez Bolivia. So I end up making 2 contacts and I just call them Kobar or Kobar.
You can do that.
But if they can fit, and you put Sally Jones and Roger Jones or Roger Dudd, then in your deer you put, okay, then Sally and Roger.
This is where you really want them to go. You want them to go, if you have that situation, you take the primary person,
Yeah.
John Smith,
Okay.
you got 4 other buyers, secondary buyers, you put them under the additional contacts tab, you right click. So we've got Alberto Nyon. I go to the additional contacts, I'm down here, additional, and if you don't, and by the way, we're going to talk about how you get these tabs up in a minute. Who has a whole bunch of tabs down here at the bottom that they don't use? They just look at them. Okay, see several. If you have a whole bunch of tabs down there that you're like, I don't know what those are, I'm going to show you how to get rid of those. Most of us in this room only probably need 3 or 4, maybe 5 tabs, and you have 20. We're going to get rid of the other 15. Okay? But if you have, and most of you should have, the additional contacts tab, and all that the additional contacts tab is exactly what it said. To use Janet's example, Albert Nyon has another person that's associated with him. I don't know who it is. It's Sally Jones. And then maybe I've got a phone number, maybe I've got an email, and then down here I type in, this is who Sally is, and this is what her relationship is to Alberto, and she's a co-borrower, she's this, she's that. I click OK. And now, down in my additional contacts tab, I have Sally Jones. This is good. Well, we don't have any really agents in here, but on the property management side, or maybe even on a few other sides, you can maybe put like kids in here. This is a tenant, and you know Johnny Jones is the kid. And you could put he's a 7-year-old brat, or you know Sally Smith, or whatever it happens to be. I mean, because for the most part, we don't want to be putting little Johnny in here. He's a 7-year-old. I'm not going to call him. I'm not going to email him. But we might need to know who he is. I mean, you could put. I used to do this a lot. I don't know if you guys have ever ran across this, especially on the property management or when I was out actively farming. I'd put like pets and stuff in here. You know, I'd put, Buster. And, or brown dog, or whatever it happens to be. And then I'd put a little description of who it is. You know, this is the dog. You know, and he's mean, or he's nice, or whatever. And again, you can use this for a lot of things. And now
So we have to search additional?
Pardon me?
Can you search them if you want to?
Oh yeah, you can. These are searchable, by the way. You can search these. But this is kind of, and I don't want to get too crazy. I want to stick with what Goldmine's all about. But this really is what Goldmine is about. This is what this is about. I haven't talked to Alberto. I'm a sales guy, in case you guys haven't figured that out. Janet will be the first one to tell you. Janet's about ready to kill me. Because I sell, I bring business to the company. I expect you guys to administer it. I am a shitty administrator, whatever that word is. I'm not good at it. You better be thankful that I can sell. Because if I couldn't sell, we'd be out of business. I sell, you administer. Got it? Sales, administration, with a couple other little sales guys in here as well. All right? I need to know Alberto's dog's name is Buster. Why? Because I'm the sales guy. The sales guy says, Alberto, what's happening? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, by the way, dude, how's Buster doing? Right? Or, last time we talked, there was a note that Alberto's son was in the hospital and something was going on. Do I have a good memory? No. I have a terrible memory. If somebody took the time to put Johnny down here, and then I saw it, again, I'm the sales guy. Now, don't mix sales with lack of compassion, because this is going to sound like bullshit sales as opposed to somebody who really cares. But let's assume for a minute I really care. Hey, Alberto, Miss Lance, haven't talked to you in a while. Hey, the girls told me little Johnny was in the hospital. I hope he's doing okay. All right? Now, it doesn't mean I don't care, but it'd be nice if I knew little Johnny's name. Oh, I understand your kid. What's his name? He's in the hospital. Okay? So, this stuff is important. That's why we want that stuff. We want all that information in there. We have a lot on the property management side. We have a lot of, I can think of a few. I can't remember their names, but if the contact was up, it would tell me. Where we have a property owner, but they're actually the real point of contact is like a son or a mother or a brother. They just kind of stepped in. Sometimes we create new contacts. That's fine. Sometimes we put them on the tree. That's fine. But if you put the son's name down here, and this is where we run into trouble, because it now says Alberto up here, and then up at the top it says, in bold caps, right? Only contact son. Whatever. Son Jimmy. Okay? Right? Who's done that in this room? A couple, 3 of you? A lot of you have done it. Or maybe it says something worse. Alberto is a jerk. Who's done it? Come on. Alberto's a jerk. Only call son Jimmy. Christmas card time comes. Not kidding, guys. We sent it out. Company name, Alberto's a jerk. Alberto Leon. Happy holidays. Okay? So be careful with that. All right, so, and if you make a mistake, let me show you something else which you may not know. I'm going to get rid of Buster because obviously he's not relevant to this. You know, I pretty much told everybody in this room never delete anything. Okay, we've had problems with things disappearing in Goldmine. All right? You just saw me delete that. You can clean things up. Just, you got to be smart about it. You got to know what you're deleting. Did I delete Buster? Did I delete Alberto? Did I delete the entire database? Before you start clicking delete, you better know what you're deleting. Okay? Well, let's take Sally Jones, for example. Now, all of a sudden, after a year or two, we've realized that Sally is actually more important than Alberto. We thought Alberto was the guy.
I want to interrupt that deleting thing. Lance just glazed over that. That is incredibly important. You guys pay attention before deleting stuff. If you accidentally delete yourself, which has happened quite a few times in the past 12 months, where I've had a situation where somebody oops and deleted something important, it shuts the whole company down for, I would say, at least 4 hours, 4 to 6 hours. The entire company is down. I don't mean just your office. I mean everybody at all offices.
Right.
Because the backup, the database is so huge, it takes that long to restore for backup. So it's a really, really big
Who has deleted themselves or been deleted in this room? Anna, wake up.
Yes.
Anna and Aubrey both have been deleted within the last 6 or 7 months.
Erica got deleted too, yeah.
And Erica was deleted.
And you did too, didn't you?
And I was deleted. The whole contact gone.
You guys deleted me.
That's a problem. Now, it just so happens that at the time, Anna and Erica and Aubrey were deleted. All three of them were in a fight with one another. Kidding. I think. But it is a problem. It's oh, I just deleted. No big deal. We just type Anna back in. No. Let's pull Anna up here real quick.
Let's delete Anna and find out.
Anna. Shall we? Yeah, bear with me.
And it's worse than just the 4 to 6 hours that we're down on recovering, because then we also lose everything that up until the last backup took place too. All the emails, all the actions, everything. So if the last backup was at 10 o'clock the night before, Anna gets deleted at 10, I'm notified at 11, we lose everything going back to 10 o'clock the night before.
Right, because you don't normally discover the problem exactly when it happened. If we discover it exactly, the damage is minimal, but we still lose time, inconvenience to hassle, so on and so forth. But normally, what Brian just described is we end up discovering the problem later, an hour later, a day later. I think with Erica, I think it was one of you guys, I don't know who it was, but I think we discovered it several days later, and I think we made a decision.
No, yeah, we didn't.
No,
Erica.
We didn't restore it.
So Erica, it was like the next
Because it took too long. And I got to tell you, I'm not happy about that. And this is why I'm not happy about it. Let's use Anna's contact for a minute. Okay, this is Anna's. If Anna accidentally got deleted today, all of these actions are gone. That appointment in 2015 that Anna scheduled for her and I is gone. That one I probably could do without. Okay? But there's other things in here that I probably want. Let's see if we can find something important on Anna's calendar. This will be an interesting test. Is there anything worth a damn on Anna's calendar?
You said you weren't going to call anyone out.
Let's see here. See, this is a problem why scheduling this stuff. It creates so much flow. I might forget about this in a minute. So, by the way, I'm on Anna's contact. Now, this very, very important email that is in Anna's pending, sitting in an outbox since September 26th of 2012, is going to be lost. There was a little bit of tongue-in-cheek with that. This very, very important email Why are we here today? This is another reason why we're here today, is because nearly every one of you have something like this in your outbox, and you don't even know it. Somebody, what is it? Actually, it looks like Aubrey might have been attached to this deal. Actually, this might even be corrupted. There's 2 emails that are in Anna's history. Looks like this might actually be sitting in Aubrey's outbox. That went to Anna back in September about something. What is this about? Something to do with some tracks. And which ones are they? Gosh, we changed hats so much I don't even know what to do.
That's important, she does not know what to do.
Well, the problem is
Let's get on that.
that's just sitting there. And the reason you don't know what to do is because you don't even send the damn email out. You thought you sent the email out, but it's out. So, at any rate, the bottom line, and again, I think for most of you, you understand this. So if I'm talking really at an elementary level, deleting Anna, not only does it get rid of everything that's in Anna's pending box that needs to be done, some of which needs to be deleted anyway, but it also deletes everything in Anna's history. Anna and I have been working together for a long time. Okay? She has history that goes back for a very long time. I want to know. And there's so much history in here, it'll probably take me 4 or 5 minutes to scroll down. But there's at least, how long have we been working together? 5 years, 6 years?
Almost 7.
There's 7 years worth of stuff there. When Anna quits and sues me, it happens. There might be something in her history from 7 years ago that I want to use to beat her over the head with in court. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So and we can make light of it, but it's important. The clients, we have a client who's suing us. What property is that on?
OB, 211 Martina. Oh, Martina?
There's someone else suing us. What is it? 211? 44. Okay, we accidentally, God, we're going to take a break in a little bit. I'm going to have to reboot my computer because my speed seems to be deteriorating. Okay, this is important. We have an active lawsuit. How much? $2 million? $2.5 million pending right now, involving this property, this owner, and this tenant. You know how easy it would be to accidentally hit that X? Woo! I'm nervous right now. Brian's really nervous right now.
I brought a change of clothes just to
Okay. We hit the X. I click delete. Done. Everything I need to defend myself with that lawsuit. Now I got to go to Brian, and I got to say, you got to go get this. Now, what happened if by accident? Let's suppose we did accidentally delete this, and let's suppose we didn't discover it, because are we logging in to take a look at this contact regularly?
No.
Not regularly. We don't go in and look at this every day. Somebody accidentally deletes Martina and the tenant and the owner. We might not realize it for a month. We might not realize it for 4 months. I'm now sitting down with the attorney. And what do I need? I need a bunch of things. I need all of this. I need all of this history. I need all of the nonsense with the tenant. And now I go to Brian, which gets to Brian's point. He said I glazed over it, and I did. Let's suppose it took 2 months for us to realize that we accidentally deleted Martina and Zachary and Gretchen Hayes. I go to Brian, I'm like, dude, I need this. We're getting sued for by the way, we're not making this up, $2.5 million. And he looks at me and says, really? First of all, I don't even know if we have backups going back 2.5 months. We do. We probably certainly couldn't restore the database, because what Brian just said is true. if we did restore the database, what we did during that 2.5 months is gone. So he has to create a separate copy, create a bunch of stuff. This is why nobody understands this poor guy. Everyone just thinks he's just, the IT ass. Okay? That's what we call you behind your back. It's a big deal, right?
I read that email, by the way.
That's right. So at any rate, all this stuff is gone. And we need it. We need it. Yeah.
I know there's some actions that we are blocked from doing. Can't that be one?
We've done that, it
We
creates
tried.
too many problems.
Okay,
The
never
problem
mind.
is the reality is 99, there's one person in this room that's dangerous. Okay? The rest of you guys, and bottom line, it's not Cindy. We all think it's Cindy because Cindy's the newest one. It could be me. You get quick. Has anybody ever got quick on the mouse? You get a little quick. Right? And they say, whoa, 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 whoa. What happened? Okay? You got to be careful with that. Okay, so we don't want to delete, yada, yada, yada. Okay, getting back to our contact that we were creating. I was over here with Alberto. We're going to take a break in about 20 minutes, by the way. And if you guys, the restroom's right out the back, so if you can't wait, just go for it. Back here with Alberto, if you do use the additional contacts tab, a couple things you can do with the new contact that we created for Alberto. And I think we would put Sally Jones or something. Okay, let's suppose all of a sudden after a year we realize that Sally really is the person that we talked to. Alberto's, I don't know why we ended up with Alberto as the primary. Okay? Right click, options, swap with primary. Sally's now. You sure, Lance? Yes. Sally's now.
What was that again? Lance?
Wait a minute. Swap. I'll do it again. Sally's now up top. Alberto's down at the bottom. Anybody know you can do that? Anybody using additional contacts? I can't. You didn't even know. Okay. Now you can also create. Let me flip them back. You put him back because Alberto is the guy. Options. I'm doing it again, Lisa.
Okay.
Options. Swap with primary. It's going to say, "Are you sure?" Yes. It's going to ask you, "Do you want to create an additional contact?" No. And it's going to put Alberto back at the top. Sally's going to be back at the bottom. Let's suppose, however, that Alberto's still important. We like to have him as a contact, but now Sally down at the bottom also has become kind of important, and we want her to have her own special little contact, but we want to keep Alberto up there too as well. You can do the same thing. Come down here, you right-click, options, convert to record. So it's now going to take that, and it's going to say, when you convert Sally to a record, do you want to do a bunch of things? Read the list, check what you think is appropriate, and click OK. Now what's just happened is Sally now has become a record in her own right. Alberto is a contact record. Sally is a contact record. Okay.
So if you create a tree, is it going to bring? Okay.
Well,
Just
one of the
create
things that it asked for on that list is, do you want to link them together and make a tree? So if you
Okay.
just noticed, it just created a tree and then put them together.
Okay.
Okay. Again, if in the property management side, if we're not doing this, we need to be using this. And this is really very property management. And frankly, I know the escrow girls are still kind of. I'm sorry, escrow. Oh, Walter left the room. Oh, there you are. Escrow girls and our escrow man. They haven't quite gotten into this yet, but this will be something that you guys will ultimately find valuable as well when you start working through that. Okay, city, state, zip, yada, yada, yada. Phone numbers are pretty self-explanatory. What I do ask, please do this seems like it's not really a problem, it's just a frustration. I don't know if I'm the only one that gets frustrated with this. But when you start typing up phone numbers, please try to make the primary most important number the one on top. Okay? And if that changes over time, originally it was, this number and then phone number 3. I get this a lot. Phone number 3 with a little note on the bottom that says best. Okay? Well, take a minute, put phone number 3 into phone number 1.
What
Okay.
if there's more than one phone number and that phone number gets disconnected and they have a new number?
Right?
Do you I was told not to delete the old phone number, but like NG.
But disconnected,
Or
right.
just, yeah, but we have a lot of tenants who go through phones like every other month.
Additional contact, or you can put it in the notes.
You want whole phone?
If you run over that, there's a notes tab in here,
Yeah,
and we don't want you to delete, because we might get sued later, and we want to be able to have some evidence that says, hey, we did call this guy at this number, you know, so if you run it, then just put the notes in here. Put a note that says, phone number 909, blah, 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 disconnected, came to my attention on April 16th of 2013. Put it down here in the notes, and you can wipe it off up there and put in the new phone number.
Just a note on the notes?
Yep.
They're there forever.
Correct.
Don't put anything that you would use
Correct.
unhappy about.
Well, that's a good point with Janet, but it's not just the notes, it's with everything. And I want to give that a little different spin. The notes are internal, okay? I want you to be candid, I want you to be honest, but we mentioned lawsuits, and I don't want to scare anybody, but you know, that's why we have this stuff, is to protect ourselves and defend ourselves and so on and so forth. I would hope that most of you, or all of you in this room, have never been put in a situation where you're typing something that you think would be incriminating. Because if you have, you better come talk to me about it, and we better have that conversation. But being honest, I have no problem with, okay? To the point where, you know, this guy's a jerk, you know, and I never want to do business with him again. And if you even want to get a little more flowery than that, I don't have a problem with that. It's internal, okay? Now, internal may become external if we end up getting sued, but you know, I mean, 99.9999% of the time, that's never going to be a problem. I want candor, though. I want candor in there, because if I'm doing business with, again, I don't have that great of a memory. If I'm doing business, or just on the REO side or property management side, if Sally Jones writes me an offer on a new property, and I have a whole bunch of history in here, and one of those notes says Sally was a terrible agent, and you know, we want to blacklist her, or whatever it happens to be, I don't have a problem with that. No problem with big bold caps. Never use her again. She sucks. Put that in the system. I got no problem with that. Okay? Okay. Okay. Contact type is very similar to source. I'm not going to get too much into contact type, because that's another 2-hour meeting. We will sit down in our individual groups and we will clean up contact type. But it is very, very important that we're using those. Frankly, the tax ID numbers, the street name, the rent amount, the HOA, that's kind of an old field that we used before. For the most part, the only people who are going to pay any attention to that are going to be the property management folks. We're not really using that for anybody else. Having said that, we have a tremendous amount of confidential information in Goldmine. We've got a lot of names and addresses and tax ID numbers. We have to be sensitive to that. So, anyway, that information is there. Okay, let me talk about the tabs real quick.
One last thing on the contact record. When you create it, I see this happen a lot. Click on the new record.
Click on new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is people have that copy current record checked at the bottom, and it screws a lot of stuff up.
Yeah. You only want to copy current, right? There's lots of times you will. Ingrid's probably going to use this a lot. And by the way, Ingrid is, I think, Ingrid and Cindy both are pretty new, but Ingrid, Cindy, Ingrid, everybody, okay? But Ingrid specifically is probably going to be using this a lot, because she's entering a lot of people, agents. Let's use our C21 Lois Lauer example. She comes across a new agent at C21 Lois Lauer, Jim Jones, and Jim Jones is not in Goldmine. But she wants to call him, she wants to email him, she wants to recruit him. So, but you can pull up Sally Smith at the Redlands C21 office, and then you do what Drew said. If you copy current record, it'll put everything in there except the name, and you just type in Jim Jones, click save. You don't have to type in the address, you don't have to type in the name, you don't have to type in anything. It's all done.
But if you click it, it stays clicked.
Right. So if you're
you see a lot of contacts that have like some weird address that's like
right,
just because whatever contacts they're on.
So be careful with that. Just know what you. But it won't be a secret. I mean, you'll know it. This is why. Let's just show you what you're looking at. Let's take Vicky for example. Vicky's got a whole bunch of information in here. If I want to create a new record, and I click new, and I click duplicate, it's going to put all of Vicky's stuff in here. It's going to put all the Vicky stuff in here. Okay? So if I'm Ingrid and I'm typing in Vicky, I say, what's all this stuff in here? Well, you've accidentally clicked that button down there. So you either need to unclick it, or you need to go through and manually delete all that. But don't do that. You unclick the current copy record. Oh, well, guess what? Once it's clicked, now it's stuck there. Now I got to cancel this, and I got to start over again. Okay, so be careful with that. Again, garbage in, garbage out. We got problems. Okay, I want to go through the tabs at the bottom here real fast. For the most part, I want everybody to have probably 3 to 5 tabs on the bottom of your screen. If you have more than that, you're either in a different category. You're Janet, for example, because she's going to have more. Or maybe your property management, you'll have different ones than Janet's going to have. But if you've got a whole bunch of nonsense we need to get rid of, it's very simple to do. You're going to click on the little down arrow here. And you're going to, these are your options. Everything is defaulted. So if you have things that say fields and GM plus dues, referrals, opportunities, project cases, if you're seeing a lot of this stuff, it's just cluttering up your screen. You don't need any of that. So I'm going to pretend I'm Stacy for a minute, Stacy Jordan. I'm going to customize this. I click the customize button. Let me bring this up so we can maybe see a little bit better.
You're on Vicky?
Well, this has nothing to, by the way, this has nothing to do with the contact. Janet's question was, I'm on Vicky. If I change this, I'm changing it for everybody. This isn't just unique to Vicky. This is for everybody. And what I'm doing, just for clarity, I'm saying my view of Goldmine, what do I want to see right here? What do I want to see? If I want to see all that, I'm happy. If I don't want to see all that, I'm going to go to this box and I'm going to decide. Everybody knows what the pending is, right?
Yeah.
Things that I have on my calendar I need to do. Well, I think you probably need that. Everybody should have the history. Things that I've done with Vicky. What's Vicky's history? We all need that. By the way, you all need the pending. You all need, if you're questioning whether you need those, yes, you need the pending. Yes, you need the history. You very well may need the members. Stacy would need the members. She may not even know why she needs the members yet, but she needs the members, so she's going to need that. She certainly doesn't need HRC. That's a client of mine. She doesn't need anything to do with the REO. That's Janet and Drew and Vicky and those folks. She doesn't need anything to do with property management, probably. Now that may change a month from now. Stacy, if you don't know, is managing the Santa Ana office. We don't do a lot of property management out there, but there may be an opportunity very quickly where Stacy now has a little different hat on, and now all of a sudden she needs the property management tab. We'll have to talk to her about that. She may or may not need links. I'm going to say no. She probably doesn't need that. She may need the notes. Doesn't need additional contacts. Doesn't need the details. Certainly doesn't need this or this or this. And I'm going to click OK. And now Stacy's world just changed. She has a much different view. She has 4 tabs that are pertinent to her. She's not cluttered up with all the rest of this garbage. And now she's got a nice little clean little screen to look at. Okay? If you happen to need all those other tabs, then you have to do what I did earlier. You have to kind of figure out which one you need, and you have to remember, well, that one's off the screen. I have to scroll over to find it. All right? Now, another thing, this is how I like them. Well, actually, how I liked mine is how I just screwed them up. But let's suppose I was still Stacy, and for whatever reason, Stacy likes to have hers in a different order. I like mine pending, history, members, notes. Stacy likes to have her history first. So you just click on the one you like, or actually I guess I can move that down. So I move my pending down, I click OK. Now I just reordered everything. Now I've got my history, pending, members, notes. You guys can do all that stuff yourself. You can't hurt the program. So if you want to go in and change your screen to pink and you want to play around with your tabs, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. You can't hurt it. Having said that, if you work in property management and you don't have the property management tabs, you're probably going to have a problem. If you're Janet and you don't have any of the REO tabs, she's going, what happened to my tabs? Are gone. I can't function anymore. If you're a sales manager or Ingrid and you don't have the members tab, you're probably going to have a problem. We need that. We need to know what the members are. And again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit more as well. So Any questions on contacts? Janet, there's one other thing I'm going to talk about after Janet's question. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to finish contacts, and I'm going to go on. But yeah.
Okay, Janet Riccardi, used to work for Tarbell, that was her email then. Now
Yep.
she's at Coldwell Banker, this is her email now.
Beautiful.
How do you merge them? How do you
Beautiful.
put like old, like don't do this one anymore?
Okay. Two things. Let's use Vicky, because Vicky's up. Vicky, can you guys all see this okay? Vicky has an email. She's Vicky@pioneerrealestate.com. I'd be really surprised if Vicky doesn't have more than one email. So let's find out. Let's click on it. And if I click on it, it does. Look at that. Okay, so Vicky is Vicky@pioneerrealestate.com. But at some point in the past, Vicky sent me an email from her home email, I'm assuming, svrvicky@verizon.net. That's Vicky's personal email. Or, what's that?
It's just Sun Valley.
Oh, Sun Valley Real Estate. There we go. SVR, Sun Valley Real Estate, Vicky@verizon.net. Okay. Now, that is not Vicky's primary email in my world, but it is a good email. So, let's suppose Vicky leaves Pioneer Real Estate. She goes to work full-time for Sun Valley Real Estate. Then I click on her Sun Valley Real Estate email address. Where's my make primary? Click on this button here that says primary. Everybody see that?
Yep.
And then I click OK. Now what happens is on her contact, SVR Vicky, that's her primary, that's her email that we use as the system today. Okay? Their Pioneer Real Estate email is still there. So if I go to double click this, it still has her Pioneer, which is her primary. So I'm going to change that back. But what happens if Vicky sends me an email today? And what happens if she sends me an email from svrvicky@verizon.net? What happens to that email? Does it get attached to her contact?
Yes.
It does. Some of you in this room, matter of fact, I'll use Ingrid as an example. I asked Ingrid earlier to send me an email. Okay, she sent it from her personal email. So everyone who wants to know her personal email, pay attention. Okay? So it's in my inbox. Anna was kind enough to leave it in there for me. So I double click on this. Actually, 2 lessons in 1. You're going to get a 2-fer here. Okay? Oh, who linked it? Oh, did you already put it in there?
Your email is already in there.
Did you already put it in?
Well, I got hired from Craigslist.
Okay, let's pretend. I'm going to unlink this for a minute. Unlink. Okay, let's pretend for a moment that Ingrid, who works for the company, right, has a Ingrid@pioneerrealestate.com email, has now sent me an email from her private email, and it says, hey, sent from Yahoo, mail on Android. Okay? I say yes. Now I have Ingrid's personal email. And she is ingridgonzalez@yahoo.com. Okay, we're going to get a 2-fer here. This is super important. I don't care how long you've been working in this company. You guys screw this up all the time. Every day this gets messed up because we get going quick. Okay? Is Ingrid a contact in the database?
Yes.
She is. Is this email from Ingrid linked to her contact in the database?
No.
No, it's not. We got to link her. You're going to click the link button up here. It's going to ask me a question. It's going to say, do you want to link this Yahoo email address to a new contact? Meaning that she's not in the database, she's never been in the database, and she's brand new. If that's the case, then I leave it where it is, and I click OK, and it's going to create a brand new contact for Ingrid with that email address. Are you guys with me so far?
Yes.
If we know that Ingrid's already in the database, which we do, we click Find Existing. Click OK. It brings up a search box, and we start typing in Ingrid's name. INGRID space G. Now she pops up. Now actually, I don't know if this is you or not. We're going to find out in a minute, but this is our Ingrid. So I double click. It now links this email to Ingrid. How do I know it's linked? Can you see in the back row? It says linked to Ingrid Gonzalez. Okay? If I go up to Ingrid's contact, Ingrid now has at least 2 emails in Goldmine. She has her iGonzalez@pioneerrealestate.com, which is her company email. And now we've also captured her personal email, which is her IngridGonzalez@yahoo.com. Now, some of you have done this. I'm giving amnesty today. So those of you who have done this, you will not be prosecuted. I will never mention it again, but if you do it again, we're going to have a fight. Okay? Whose database is this?
Lance's.
This is my database. This is not your database. Out of the goodness of my heart, I am letting you access my database, Ingrid. So if you decide at some point later that you do not want me to have access to your email address, or you get in a fight with Sarah and you don't want Sarah to have access to your database, your email address, tough cookies. Because this is not your database. This is my database. You do not delete your information from my database. If you don't want me to have your personal email address, you never should have sent me an email from your personal email, which you did, not me. You sent me an email because you wanted to work at my company. Just because I hired you does not give you the right to delete your email. I know it's funny, but I'm not joking. Okay? When you decide to quit next week, you do not have the right to go in and delete your notes, your email address, your home address, your cell phone number. None of that. That is not your information. That is my information. Do people do that? All the time. I don't want anybody calling me on my cell phone. So I'm going in here and I'm taking this shit out right now. There's no way I want anybody calling me. This is not your database. And now I know there are some cases you're like, wait a minute, hold on, time out, Lance. I don't want Sarah having my, well, tough noogies. We'll have to work it out a little bit, okay? I get that a lot. Honestly, I really get it a lot. And you know where it becomes a problem is now I need to get a hold of you. And then there's a thing in there. I know there was a cell phone there before because I called you on that cell phone. And now I see over here, instead of saying the phone number, it still says cell under the extension, but it says don't give out. Well, how can I give it out? You deleted it. Okay? Don't do that. Okay, so to answer Janet's question, if you have a contact with, let's use Brian for example. Brian, because I know Brian has a whole bunch of emails.
No, I don't. I just deleted them all.
Brian has